Hey, good morning. This is Brian from Fantasy Boom, and today we're talking draft for 4/18/2018. Please hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. We are the only channel. We're a brand new channel, so we really need your subscriptions. But we're the only channel covering draft and predict picks. No Draft Kings, no FanDuel. Covering the two platforms we think are going to be the easiest way for you to make money. Playing DFS. If you haven't signed up for draft, watch this video all the way through. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to cover my draft from last night like I always do. And then I'm going to do a live draft at the very end of this. If it looks good to you, if it looks fun, look at the description of this video. You can click my link and you can get a free $3 entry. Try it out. See what you think. So let's talk about last night real quick. First of all, I won by 0.9. So I've only had one bad night since I've been doing the videos, and it was opening night, which I knew I just didn't feel good about, and I got destroyed that night. Anthony Davis had him projected 56. He scored 46, so not as good as I had hoped, but good enough. John Wall, I had him at 38. He did 46. Mirotic, I had him at 34. His numbers are a little skewed because he's so much better on the road, but he had 33. I can live with that. Rondo had him at 29. He had about 36. I'm good with that. And Greg Monroe, this is where I really almost screwed up because I went off Greg Monroe with a gut instinct over Valanciunas. And Greg Monroe, because Greg Monroe can put up a lot of fantasy points very quickly. I just felt good about him for some reason. I took him, had him projected at 24. He had 21. Had I taken Valanciunas, he had 40. So had I taken him, I would have killed this guy by 21 points. But a win is a win. But next time, I'm probably not going to take such a big gamble like that when it comes to someone who could play 5 minutes. He took Damian Lillard, projected at 47. He had 23. I don't know what's going on with Lillard. I felt excellent about him last night. I was totally ready to draft him. I was like, no way he sucks 2 games in a row. Giannis had him projected 41. He had 56. He was great. Middleton had him projected at 34. He had 28, so he was not good. Holiday was amazing. And I've been kind of wrong on these Pelicans. I actually didn't expect the Pelicans, Holiday to have another big game. But he sure as hell did. So I had him projected 38. He had 52. Nurkic projected at 31. He only had about 22. So this was a close one. And again, I just kind of did something idiotic at the end, and I went with Monroe over Valanciunas. But I still got the win. I will take 0.9, and I'm all good with it. So going over today with my own personal projections, I've got LeBron James number 1. He averages 62 versus Indiana. He had 62 last game, had a triple-double. His teammates weren't doing a whole lot. He was trying to get them involved, and I think this game especially after losing game 1, I think he really takes over. So I'm very comfortable with him number 1. I'm going with Russell Westbrook slightly ahead of James Harden today. He averages 58 versus Utah. Now, even though I have him projected for about 9, I can't do math, about 9 points less than Harden, he averages 58 versus Utah. He had 58 last game, and he played his game. He didn't do anything, he didn't have pull down 20 boards or 20 assists or nothing. He just pretty much played his game. I think he might have missed a triple-double by an assist or something like that. So I like him there. Harden averages 56 versus Minnesota. Last game he had 67, but he shot 58% from the field. I just don't really see that happening again. So I see him in the mid-50s tonight. So it's probably going to be very comparable to Russell Westbrook, but I think the Westbrook ceiling's a little higher tonight for some reason. Especially because I expect Minnesota to play a little bit better, even though the final score is closer than really how the game was shaken out. Victor Oladipo, man, he's killing it. It's always really hard for me to draft him because he's basically my favorite player, and it's hard to there's a bias there. But he's averaging 45 versus Cleveland, 57 the last game. He shot 60% from the field though, but he's had 45 in his last 6 of 8. So I don't expect him to shoot 60% from the field again, but I think I like him in the low 40s still, maybe the mid 40s. Karl Anthony Towns, this guy, he he killed me on predict picks. I went to bed knowing that I won a couple $100, and he was awful. So Karl Anthony Towns, he averages 49 versus versus Houston. He had 27 last game. I expect him to get about 5 to 10 more shots up this game, and I just expect him to play better. There's no way he's this bad 2 games in a row. No way. Impossible. So I did put Oladipo ahead of him. I don't know. I really want Oladipo ahead of Chris Paul tonight. So if I have to take Oladipo ahead of Towns tonight, I'm willing to do that. Kevin Love averages 38 versus Indiana, had 38 last game. Here's the deal with Kevin Love, though. His shots were down. He only took one free throw. Now he grabbed 17 boards. I don't know if he's going to grab 17 boards again. He could. There's really no one who's going to grab him ahead of him. But I expect him to take more shots and to draw a few more shots. So I think Kevin Love could have an excellent game. Chris Paul averages 39 versus Minnesota. Only had 22 last game. Shot poorly. He didn't facilitate. He was the third wheel because Capella was playing so well, and he had 6 turnovers. I think he had I drafted him too. I think he had -3 after the first quarter, something like that, or at least pretty close to the end of the first quarter. So he just played like crap, and he hasn't, I don't know. I just feel like something's kind of up with Chris Paul's game. I'm not really understanding what's going on with him lately, but I expect a bounce-back game from him. Clint Capella, if you guys watched my last video, I had said, I know this sounds crazy, but I like Capella over Towns tonight. However, I took Towns. I just it's hard to pull the trigger on something like that. But I had said I liked Capella better, and sure enough, he had 50. I think he had 30 fantasy points in the first half. He averages 41 of them versus Minnesota. He played 34 minutes last game. I feel like that's kind of high for him, even in the playoffs. I expect about 6 less shots from him this game, and I expect maybe even a little bit of foul trouble because I just think Towns is going to come out a little more aggressive. I think they're going to try to get Towns going early this game. I think it could be one of those games where you see like 20 fantasy points from Towns in the first quarter. Jimmy Butler, even though I don't like him I'm not going to pick him tonight, but he's on my bubble. Even though he's averaging 30 versus Houston, he had 29 last game. I expect about 5 more field goal attempts, 5 more free throw attempts from him. So I actually kind of like him to get towards that 39 tonight, 37, 38. But I'm not picking him. And then there's a big drop off in talent. That's why I kind of wanted in projections, I should say, and that's why I kind of want to get into my guards early. But Paul George, hopefully we're getting playoff P here. Averages 41 versus Utah, had 49 last game. He shot 70% from the field. I think that's a little high, but there's no reason to believe he can't at least get in those low 30s. Carmelo, man, this is a tough one because it's basically between Wiggins, Carmelo, and Bogdanovich because Taj Gibson is not going to do anything. It's between those 3 guys. Andrew Wiggins has been absolutely terrible. He had 27 fantasy points last game, and he actually shot kind of well and played his game. So that's why I'm just like, I don't really see a ceiling there. And what was the other one I talked about? Bogdanovich, he only averages 20 versus Cleveland. He had 30 last game, and he shot really bad too, 25% from the field. But he had 3 steals, 6 boards. I expect him to get no steals this game and like 2 boards. And maybe he might shoot a little bit better. So, God, maybe he might hit the high 20s again. This is the tough one. I hope I'm not even faced with having to. I hope that Paul George is the last guy I have to worry about, but I'm going to go with Carmelo on this one. So let's play a live draft here, folks. I've already got my, $25 head-to-head. I've already entered my draft order in there. And my opponent's already ready to go. So 1 minute. But again, like I said on Carmelo, he didn't shoot the ball well last game, and he had 3 steals. I, again, expect him to have like 0 steals this game. And maybe he shoots the ball a little bit better. So that's why I'm just I'm gonna kind of go with him as my last forward. Derek Favors projects a lot better, but he just doesn't play well versus OKC. He had 21 fantasy points last game. Maybe he scores a little bit more this game, but I don't really see him doing much past the mid 20s. So I really the forward options get really thin tonight. I don't like that, but that's the name of the game. Here we draft, and I have the first pick. That means my opponent is going to take Westbrook and Harden. So that's always scary when someone has that opportunity. I'm going with LeBron James. I'm trusting the statement game today. Flat out. I think he's been embarrassed and will not allow that to happen again. I know this guy's going to take James Harden, of course. We're going to go with the same game. And I'm taking Victor Oladipo. Got another pick. All right, Karl Anthony Towns, don't fail me now. Let's get this bounce back game going, bud. To me, there's a big discrepancy in centers talent-wise, so I think he's going to go with Capella. But I don't know. I don't see that big Capella game again. Could be totally wrong. He took Kevin Love, who I think is a good pick. Oh, he took Paul George. Damn. Okay. That means I'm going to get stuck with Carmelo like I didn't want. Going with the Chris Paul bounce back game. And going to go Carmelo. And I'm sure he will take Clint Capella here. Let's see. So he's projected to beat me by, looks like 10. Capella has a nice high projection. He took Chris Paul, who might be playing a little bit injured tonight. So we'll see what happens there. I'm okay with him projecting by drafts standards to be about 10 more than me. I'd be willing to bet that on my own personal projections, I'm a little higher than him. But of course, like I said, Carmelo is not the guy I wanted, ideally, but I'm going to roll with him. So thanks for listening. Again, if you want to play draft, check the description, click the link, and get started today. Talk to you soon. Peace.